When I am reading a book, whether wise or silly, it seems to me to be alive and talking to me. The worthiest people are the most injured by slander, as is the best fruit, which the birds have been pecking at. There is no absolute success in the world, only constant progress. There is nothing constant in this world but inconsistency. Vision is the art of seeing things invisible. You should never be ashamed to admit you have been wrong. It only proves you are wiser today than yesterday. Satire is a sort of glass, wherein beholders do generally discover everybody's face but their own, which is the chief reason for that kind reception it meets within the world, and that so very few are offended with it. There are few, very few, that will own themselves in a mistake. Every dog must have his day. If a man makes me keep my distance, the comfort is, he keeps his at the same time. Happiness is the perpetual possession of being well deceived. No wise man ever wished to be younger. Falsehood flies, and truth comes limping after it, so that when men come to be undeceived, it is too late. When a great genius appears in the world, you may know him by this sign, that the dunces are all in confederacy against him. We have just enough religion to make us hate, but not enough to make us love one another. I never wonder to see men wicked, but I often wonder to see them not ashamed. The latter part of a wise person's life is occupied with curing the follies, prejudices and false opinions they contracted earlier. We of this age have discovered a shorter and more prudent method to become scholars and wits, without the fatigue of reading or of thinking. I have ever hated all nations, professions, and communities, and all my love is toward individuals. Satire is a sort of glass, wherein beholders do generally discover everybody's face but their own. A soldier is a Yahoo hired to kill in cold blood as many of his own species, who have never offended him, as possibly he can. I'm as old as my tongue, and a little older than my teeth. In men desire begets love, and in women love begets desire. We have chosen to fill our hives with honey and wax, thus furnishing mankind with the two noblest of things, which are sweetness and light. That the universe was formed by a fortuitous concourse of atoms. Laws are like cobwebs, which may catch small flies, but let wasps and hornets break through. The stoical scheme of supplying our wants by lopping off our desires is like cutting off our feet when we want shoes. As love without esteem is capricious and volatile, esteem without love is languid and cold. I will no more believe than that the accidental jumbling of the alphabet would fall into a most ingenious treatise of philosophy, in answer to which I assured His Honor that in all points, out of their lawyer's own trade, they were usually the most ignorant and stupid generation among us, the most despicable in common conversation. One enemy can do more hurt than 10 friends can do good. Words are the clothing of our thoughts. Let that be as it will. Thus much is certain, that, however spiritual intrigues begin, they generally conclude like all others. They may branch upward toward heaven, but the root is in the earth. Punning is a talent, which no man affects to despise, but he that is without it. Some men, under the notion of weeding out prejudice, eradicate virtue, honesty and religion. So that, upon the whole, there must be some kind of subjection, due from every man to every man, which cannot be made void by any power, preeminence, or authority whatsoever. Books, the children of the brain. A person with good eyes may see to the bottom of the deepest, provided any water be there, and often, when there is nothing in the world, at the bottom, besides dryness and dirt, though it be but a yard and half underground, it shall pass, however for wondrous deep, upon no wiser a reason than, because it is wondrous dark. Whereof one was a page, that held up his train. I have one word to say, upon the subject of profound writers, who are grown very numerous of late. These reasonings will furnish us, with an adequate definition, of a true critic, that he is a discoverer, and collector of writers' faults. I have been assured, by a very knowing American, of my acquaintance in London, that a young healthy child well nursed, is, at a year old, a most delicious nourishing and wholesome food, whether stewed, roasted, baked, or boiled, and I make no doubt, that it will equally serve in a fricassee, or a ragoust. The use of speech, was to make us understand one another, and to receive information of facts. The cottagers and laborers, keep their children at home, their business being only, to till and cultivate the earth, and therefore their education, is of little consequence to the public. Undoubtedly, philosophers are in the right, when they tell us that nothing, is great or little otherwise, than by comparison. Many hundred large volumes, have been published upon this controversy, but the books of the big Indians, have been long forbidden, and the whole party rendered, incapable by law of holding employments. When people are met together, a short silence, does much improve conversation. Men are never so serious, thoughtful, and intent, as when they are at Stooly. I could not sufficiently wonder at the intrepidity of these diminutive mortals. When a great office is vacant, either by death or disgrace, which often happens, 5 or 6 of those candidates petition the emperor to entertain his majesty, and the court with a dance on the rope, and whoever jumps the highest, without falling, succeeds in the office. Ingratitude is amongst them, a capital crime, as we read it to have been, in some other countries. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.